The red sun burned high above the endless desert of Korath Prime as Li Wujin wiped the sweat from his forehead. He had been working on the broken mining drill for 3 hours straight. The metal was so hot it could burn skin, but he kept working. This was his job. Fix the machines, keep them running, make sure the mining operation continued. Wujin was the only human on this team. The rest were Korath aliens with their thick gray skin and cold yellow eyes. They stood taller than humans and had sharp teeth that showed when they spoke. Most of them did not like having a human around, but they needed him. He was the best mechanic in this part of the galaxy. The team leader was named Vextel. He was bigger than the others and had scars across his face. Vextel always watched Wujin with suspicious eyes. He never trusted the human, even though Wujin had fixed their equipment many times before. "Human, how much longer will this take?" Vextel asked in his rough voice. Wujin looked up from the drill. "Maybe 2 more hours. The heat damaged the main power coupling. I need to rebuild it completely." Vextel made a growling sound. "You said that yesterday about the water purifier, and last week about the transport engine. Always something broken when you are around." "These machines are," old Wujin explained calmly. "They break down in this heat. That is not my fault." "Is it not?" Vextel said with a nasty smile. The other Korath aliens stopped their work to listen. There were 6 of them total. They formed a circle around Wujin and the broken drill. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. Wujin stood up slowly. His tool belt was heavy at his waist. "What are you saying, Vex?" "I am saying that machines do not break this often by accident. I am saying that maybe someone is making them break, someone who wants to slow down our work." "That is crazy," Wujin said. "Why would I break the machines I have to fix? That makes no sense." But the other aliens were nodding their heads. They agreed with Vextel. Wujin could see it in their yellow eyes. They had already decided he was guilty. "Yesterday the water purifier failed right after you worked on it," said Corvel, the second in command. "Today, the drill stops working. Tomorrow, what will break?" "The life support. The communications." Wujin felt his heart beating faster. "I fixed the water purifier. It worked fine when I finished. The sand got into the filters during the storm. That is what broke it." "Convenient excuse," Vextel said. "Always the sand, always the heat. Never your fault." The circle of aliens moved closer. Wujin looked around for an escape path, but they had him surrounded. The nearest transport was 50 meters away. Too far to run. "Even if I was sabotaging the equipment, which I am not, why would I do it?" Wujin asked. "This is my job. I need this work to survive." "Maybe you work for our enemies," suggested Corval. "Maybe you are a spy. Or maybe you just hate us," added another alien named Dexmore. "Humans think they are better than everyone else. Maybe you want to make us look bad." Wujin shook his head. "That is not true. I have worked with your people for 2 years. I have never caused any problems." "Until now," Vextel said with finality. The team leader pulled out an energy restraint device. It looked like metal handcuffs, but they used force fields instead of locks. Once they were on, only someone with the control key could remove them. "Wait," Wujin said, backing away. "You cannot do this. I have a contract with the mining company. I have rights." Vextel laughed. It was an ugly sound. "Your rights ended when you became a saboteur. Hold him." 2 aliens grabbed Wujin's arms. He tried to fight, but they were much stronger than humans. The energy restraints clicked around his wrists with a soft humming sound. Immediately, his hands went numb. The restraints blocked nerve signals as well as movement. "This is wrong," Wujin said desperately. "The company will investigate. They will find out I did nothing wrong." "The company is very far away," Vextel said, "and accidents happen in the desert. Equipment fails. People get lost. The heat kills many travelers every year." Wujin felt cold fear in his stomach despite the burning sun above. "You are going to kill me. We are going to leave you here," Corvel explained, "with some water and a little food. If you are innocent, maybe the desert spirits will protect you. If you are guilty, well, the desert has its own justice." They dragged him to a flat area between 2 large rocks. The ground was hard red stone, covered with sand. Nothing grew here. Nothing lived here except small creatures that hid from the sun. During the day, Vextel threw down a small water container and a package of food bars. "This should last 2 days if you are careful. Maybe 3 if you are very careful. The nearest settlement is over 200 kilometers away," said. "No one can walk that far in this desert." "Then you better hope someone comes looking for you," Vextel said. But his smile suggested that no one would. The aliens walked back to their transport. It was a large vehicle with thick armor and powerful cooling systems. Built to survive in the desert heat, Wujin watched them load their equipment and prepare to leave. "Wait," he called out. "At least leave me a communication device. Let me call for help." "Saboteurs do not deserve help," Vextel replied. The transport engine started with a deep rumbling sound. Soon the vehicle was moving across the desert, leaving a trail of dust in the air. Wujin watched until it disappeared over a distant hill. Then he was alone. The silence was complete. No wind, no animals, no machines, just the sound of his own breathing and heartbeat. The twin suns of Korath Prime burned overhead like angry eyes. The temperature was already over 40 degrees and rising. Wu Jin looked at his restraints. The metal was getting hot in the sun. Soon, it would be too hot to touch. He needed to find shade and figure out how to escape these bonds. The water and food would not last long in this heat. But first, he needed to survive the next few hours. He picked up the water container and food package with his bound hands. Moving was difficult and painful. The restraints were designed to make escape impossible, but humans were good at solving impossible problems. Wu Jin found a narrow shadow between two rocks and sat down to think. He was not going to die in this desert. He was going to prove his innocence and make Vextal pay for this betrayal. The desert was dangerous, but it was not unbeatable. He just needed to use his brain and his skills to survive. The real adventure was just beginning. The first night in the desert nearly killed Li Wu Jin. The temperature dropped from burning hot to freezing cold in just a few hours. His body shook so hard he could barely think. The energy restraints on his wrists made everything worse. They blocked his blood flow and made his hands feel like blocks of ice. But when the twin suns rose again, Wu Jin was still alive. He had spent the dark hours working on his bonds. Using a sharp piece of metal from his tool belt, he slowly cut through the power cables that fed the restraints. It took all night, but finally the humming stopped and the metal bands fell away. His hands were free. But they were also badly damaged. The skin was torn and bleeding. His fingers barely worked, but at least he could move them again. Wu Jin drank some water and ate half of one food bar. He needed to make his supplies last as long as possible. The desert stretched in every direction, like an ocean of red sand and black rock. He could see mountains far away, but they looked impossible to reach. He started walking toward the rising suns. That direction seemed as good as any other. Maybe he would find water. Maybe he would find shelter. Maybe he would find a way to survive. The heat grew worse as the morning passed. By midday, the sand was so hot it burned through his boots. His clothes were soaked with sweat. The water container felt lighter with each drink he took. Then he heard something strange, a sound that did not belong in the empty desert. It was deep and loud, like the roar of some giant animal, but it also sounded sad, like a cry for help. Wu Jin stopped walking and listened carefully. The sound came again, echoing off the rock walls of a canyon ahead. Something was in trouble. Something big. He should have kept walking. He should have saved his energy for his own survival. But Wu Jin could not ignore a cry for help. It was not in his nature to walk away when someone needed assistance. The canyon was narrow and deep. The walls rose high on both sides, blocking out most of the sunlight. It was cooler here, but also darker. Wu Jin walked carefully on the rocky ground. Following the sound of distress, what he found made him stop and stare in amazement. 3 creatures were trapped in the center of the canyon, but these were not ordinary animals. They were dragons. Real dragons, like the ones in old Earth stories, but much more beautiful and frightening. The largest dragon was the size of a small building. Its scales were deep blue and silver, shining like metal in the dim light. Its eyes were intelligent and angry. 2 smaller dragons were trapped nearby. One had scales of bright gold, and the other was emerald green. All 3 were caught in some kind of energy net. Glowing cables wrapped around their bodies, holding them against the canyon walls. The dragons struggled and roared, but the bonds only grew tighter when they moved. Wu Jin approached slowly. He did not want to frighten them, more than they already were. The largest dragon saw him coming and made a warning growl deep in its throat. "I am not here to hurt you," Wu Jin said quietly. "I want to help." The dragon tilted its massive head and studied the small human. Its eyes were ancient and wise. Then it spoke, and Wu Jin almost fell over in surprise. "You speak our language," the dragon said. Its voice was deep and powerful, but also tired. "How is this possible?" Wu Jin looked around and saw a small device attached to the energy net. It was a universal translator, probably left by whoever had set this trap. "The machine is translating for us," he explained. "Ah," the dragon nodded its great head. "Then, you can understand me when I say you should leave this place. It is dangerous here." "Who are you?" Wu Jin asked. "What happened to you?" The dragon was quiet for a moment. Then it spoke again, and there was pride in its voice. "I am Prince Kong Taeho of the Draconic House of Veltar. These are my companions, Commander Park Hyun-woo and Scout Kim Da-sung. We were captured by hunters who sell intelligent beings as slaves." Wu Jin felt sick. Slave traders, the galaxy was full of them, but he had never seen their work up close. "The same people who left me in the desert." "Possibly," Prince Taeho replied. "You do not look like a hunter. What are you doing in this wasteland?" Wu Jin told his story quickly. How his alien crew had accused him of sabotage. How they had abandoned him to die. How he had been walking through the desert trying to find help. The Golden Dragon, Commander Hyun-woo, made a sound of disgust. "The Korath are known for their cruelty. They care nothing for justice or truth. But why would they leave you alive at all?" asked the Green Dragon, Scout Da-sung. Her voice was lighter than the others, but just as intelligent. "If they wanted, You dead? Why not kill you quickly? Wu Jin had been wondering the same thing. Maybe they wanted it to look like an accident, or maybe they enjoyed the idea of me suffering. Prince Taeho studied him with those ancient eyes. Or maybe they planned to come back for you. Humans are valuable in the slave markets. Your people are known for their ability to solve problems and adapt to new situations. The thought made Wu Jin's blood run cold. You think they planned to capture me all along? It is possible, the prince said. Breaking the equipment gave them an excuse to abandon you. Then they could return later to collect you when you were weak and desperate. Wu Jin looked at the energy net holding the dragons. It was clearly advanced technology, but he could see the power source and control circuits. How long have you been trapped here? 3 days. Commander Hyan Wu replied. The nets grow tighter each time we struggle. Soon they will crush us. The slavers will return tomorrow. Scout Dawson added, they want us alive, but barely. Wu Jin walked around the trap, studying it from all angles. The design was clever but not perfect. There were weak points where the energy fields overlapped. The power source was a single generator, probably to make the trap portable. I might be able to free you, he said slowly. The dragons looked at him with surprise. You are just a human, Prince Taeho said. These bonds were made to hold beings far stronger than your kind. Strength is not always the answer, Wu Jin replied. Sometimes you need to think differently. He opened his tool belt and spread out his equipment on the canyon floor. Most of it was basic mechanic tools, but in the right hands they could work miracles. Why would you help us? Scout Dosum asked. You do not know us. We are not even the same species. Wu Jin looked up at the 3 magnificent creatures. Because it is the right thing to do. Because you asked for help. And because maybe if I help you, you can help me survive this desert. Prince Taeho was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke, and his voice was different now. Warmer. Very well, small human. Show us what your people can do. Wu Jin smiled and picked up his tools. The real work was about to begin. The dragons watched as the human began to examine their prison. For the first time in 3 days, they began to hope that freedom might be possible. In the distance, the twin suns continued their slow journey across the alien sky. Time was running out for all of them. Li Wu Jin spent 2 hours studying the energy trap that held the dragons. The system was more complex than he had first thought. Multiple power feeds created overlapping force fields. Cut one cable and the others would compensate. The designers had been very careful, but they had made one mistake. They assumed anyone trying to escape would use brute force. They had not planned for someone who would take the trap apart piece by piece. This will take time, Wu Jin told the dragons, maybe a full day or more. Prince Taeho shifted uncomfortably against the canyon wall. The energy net sparked each time he moved. We do not have much time. The slavers will return tomorrow. Then, I will work faster, Wu Jin said simply. He began with the power generator. It was a standard fusion cell, probably stolen from a civilian transport. The housing was locked, but Wu Jin had tools for dealing with locked housings. He had been opening them for years. As he worked, the dragons told him about their world and their people. The draconic house of Eltar ruled a system of 12 planets far from human space. They were an ancient race, much older than humanity. They had been traveling between stars when humans were still learning to make fire. Your people are very young, Commander Hyan Wu explained. Most races take millions of years to develop space travel. Humans did it in just a few thousand. We learn fast, Wu Jin said, not looking up from his work. Maybe too fast sometimes. Scout Dosum laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. That is what makes you dangerous to the other races. They cannot predict what humans will do next. Wu Jin paused in his work. Dangerous how? Prince Taeho answered carefully. Most intelligent species follow patterns. They think in organized ways. They solve problems using methods their ancestors used. But humans think differently every time. You make solutions no one else would consider. Is that bad? Wu Jin asked. Not bad, the prince said, just unexpected. Some races fear the unexpected. The sun was getting lower in the sky. Wu Jin had managed to disconnect 3 of the 7 power feeds. Each disconnection weakened the energy net, but not enough to free the dragons, and each cut cable made the remaining ones carry more power. One mistake now could electrocute him. He was getting tired and thirsty. The work required perfect concentration, and the heat was making him dizzy. He took a small sip from his water container. It was almost empty. Here, Scout Dosum said. Take this. She breathed out gently, and a cool mist came from her mouth. The temperature around Wu Jin dropped several degrees. The relief was immediate and wonderful. You can control temperature? He asked in amazement. All dragons can, Commander Hyan Wu replied. It is how we survive in space. We can heat or cool our bodies as needed. Prince Taeho watched Wu Jin drink the last of his water. You are sharing your supplies with us, even though you need them to survive. Why? Wu Jin looked at the massive dragon. Because you are people. Because you are in trouble. Because it is right. Even though we are different species. Even though helping us uses resources you need. Yes, The prince was quiet for a long moment. Most races would not do this. They would save themselves first. Maybe, Wu Jin said, returning to his work, but that is not how I was raised. As the afternoon passed, Wu Jin told the dragons about Earth and human civilization. How humans had spread across their solar system and then 2 other stars. How they had met other races and sometimes fought with them, but more often traded and learned from them. Your people sound restless, Commander Hyenwu observed. Always moving, always exploring. We get bored easily, Wu Jin admitted. Staying in one place too long makes us uncomfortable. That explains why you are here. Scout Dosum said, on an alien world, fixing alien machines, working with alien people. Wu Jin smiled. It seemed like an adventure when I took the job. And now, Prince Taeho asked. Now it is still an adventure, just not the kind I expected. By evening, Wu Jin had disconnected 5 of the 7 power feeds. The energy net was much weaker, but still strong enough to hold the dragons. His hands were shaking from exhaustion and his vision was blurry from dehydration. Scout Dosam created another cooling mist around him. You need water, she said with concern, and food, and rest. I need to finish this first, Wu Jin replied stubbornly. You will collapse before you finish, Commander Hyenwu said. Then we will all die. When the slavers return, Prince Taeho made a decision. Rest now, human, we will watch over you while you sleep. Wu Jin wanted to argue, but his body was failing. He found a patch of soft sand and lay down. The dragons continued breathing cool air around him, making the canyon bearable. Why are you helping me? He asked sleepily. I am just one human. You are royalty and military officers. Because you helped us first, Prince Taeho said simply. Because you shared your water when you had almost none. Because you are working to free us even though it gains you nothing. It gains me allies. Wu Jin pointed out. Perhaps, but you began helping before you knew if we would be useful allies. You helped because it was right. That is the mark of true honor. Wu Jin closed his eyes. The cool air from the dragons felt like a gentle blanket. For the first time since his abandonment, he felt safe. Tell me about your war, he said quietly. You mentioned fighting the Korath Empire. Prince Taeho's voice grew hard. They have been conquering smaller races for centuries. Enslaving entire planets, stealing resources and destroying cultures. They believe only the strong deserve to survive, and you fight them. We try to protect the innocent, Commander Hyenwu replied, but we are only one race against their entire empire. We need allies. What about humans? Wu Jin asked. Would your people ally with mine? The 3 dragons exchanged glances. Scout Dosum spoke first. That would depend on what humans are. Truly, like we have heard stories, but stories can be wrong. What kind of stories? That humans are violent and greedy, she said. That they fight each other constantly. That they destroy their own worlds. Some of that is true, Wu Jin admitted. We are not perfect. We make mistakes. But you also help strangers. Prince Taeho said thoughtfully. You share resources when you have few. You risk your life for people you do not know. Perhaps the stories do not tell the whole truth. Wu Jin was falling asleep, but he managed one more question. If I free you tomorrow, will you help me get home? We will do more than that, Prince Taeho promised. We will introduce you to our people. Perhaps it is time for dragons and humans to know each other properly. As Wu Jin drifted off to sleep, he dreamed of flying through space on the back of a dragon. It seemed impossible, but then again, 3 days ago he would have said, talking to dragons was impossible to in this strange new universe. Anything might be possible. The alliance between human and dragon was beginning to form, built on mutual respect and shared danger. Tomorrow would test whether it was strong enough to survive. Li Wujin woke before dawn feeling better than he had in days. The cool air from the dragons had let him sleep deeply. His hands were steadier and his mind was clear. Today he would free his new friends or die trying. He ate his last food bar and checked his tools. Everything was ready. The dragons watched him work with quiet confidence. They believed in him now, and that made him stronger. The last 2 power feeds will be the hardest, he told them. They carry the most energy. If I make a mistake, they will kill me instantly. Then do not make a mistake, Prince Taeho said. With a slight smile, Wujin began working on the 6th power feed. This one was buried deeper in the generator housing. He had to reach inside the machine while energy flowed all around his hand. One wrong move, and the power would jump to his body. The work was slow and careful. Each wire had to be traced to its source. Each connection had to be understood before it could be safely cut. Sweat dripped into his eyes, but he could not wipe away without removing his hand from the dangerous machinery. After 2 hours, the 6th feed was disconnected. The energy net flickered and grew weaker. The dragons could move a little more freely now, though they were still trapped. One more, Commander Hyenwu said encouragingly. But the last power feed was different from the others. It was protected by a security system that Wujin had not seen before. Try to cut it the wrong way, and it would send a signal to the slavers. They would know someone was tampering with their trap. Wu Jin studied the security system for an hour. It was clever, but it had a weakness. All security systems did. You just had to find the right approach. The weakness was in the timing circuits. The system checked for tampering every 10 seconds. But there was a tiny gap between checks. If Wu could cut the feed in that exact moment, the security system would not notice. He practiced the timing over and over. Count to 10. Wait for the signal light to flash. Cut the wire in the next half second. Missed the timing, and they were all dead. Ready? He asked the dragons. Ready. They replied together. Wu Jin counted under his breath. 8, 9, 10. The light flashed. He cut the wire. The energy net collapsed instantly. The dragons were free. Prince Taeho rose to his full magnificent height. His wings spread wide, casting shadows across the canyon. Commander Hyenwoo and Scout Dasam stretched their limbs, working feeling back into muscles that had been trapped for days. You did it, Scout Dosem said with joy. You actually did it. But their celebration was interrupted by the sound of engines in the distance. The slavers were returning early. They must have detected something, Prince Taeho said grimly. We need to leave now. The dragons were still weak from their captivity. They could fly, but not far or fast. And Wu Jin was just a human. He could not fly at all. Go, he told them. Save yourselves. I will hide in the canyon. No, Prince Taeho said firmly. We do not abandon our allies. Scout Dawson was already moving. There is a cave system deeper in the canyon. I scouted it while we were trapped. We can hide there. They moved quickly through the narrow canyon passages. The dragons had to fold their wings tight to fit through some spaces. Wu Jin ran behind them, his tool belt bouncing with each step. The cave Scout Dosem had found was perfect. It went deep into the canyon wall with multiple chambers and passages. Most importantly, it had another exit on the far side of the canyon. They made it inside, just as the first slaver ship appeared overhead. Through the cave entrance, Wu Jin could see it hovering over the empty trap site. More ships arrived within minutes. 6 ships. Commander Hyenwoo whispered. More than we expected. The slavers landed and began searching the area. They found the destroyed trap quickly. Angry voices echoed through the canyon as they realized their valuable prisoners had escaped. Spread out, shouted a voice that sounded like Vextal. Find them, they cannot have gone far. Wu Jin felt cold fear in his stomach. His former crew leader was here. This confirmed what Prince Taeho had suspected. The mining crew and the slavers were working together. The dragons and Wu Jin moved deeper into the cave system. Scout Dosam led the way, her natural senses helping her navigate in the darkness. The passages twisted and turned, leading them away from the searching slavers. But the hunters had technology too. Wu Jin could hear scanning devices beeping as they searched for life signs. The cave walls might hide them for a while, but not forever. They will find us soon, Prince Taeho said quietly. We need another plan. Commander Hyenwoo was examining the far cave entrance. This opens onto a ledge about 50 meters up the canyon wall. We could fly from there, but it would expose us to their weapons. What about the human? Scout Dosem asked. He cannot fly. Prince Taeho looked at Wu Jin with ancient wise eyes. He saved our lives. Now we must save his. I can carry him, Scout Dosem offered. I am the smallest, but I am still strong enough. That would slow you down, Wu Jin protested. You need to escape while you can. We are stronger together, Prince Taeho said. This is what you taught us. Human, when people help each other, they can accomplish impossible things. The sounds of searching were getting closer. The slavers would find the cave entrance soon. There is another way, Commander Hyenwoo said suddenly. The scanning devices they use have a weakness. They cannot distinguish between life forms and certain types of electromagnetic interference. What do you mean? Wu Jin asked. Dragonfire is not just flame, the commander explained. It is controlled plasma. If we coordinate our flames properly, we can create interference that will blind their scanners for a short time. Prince Taeho understood immediately. A diversion. We fly out the back exit during the interference. They will not see us leave. Scout Dosem nodded, but we will only have seconds. The interference will not last long. They moved to the back cave entrance. The ledge beyond was narrow and dangerous, but it was their only chance. The 3 dragons prepared to coordinate their flame breath while Wu Jin climbed onto Scout Dosam's back. Hold tight, she told him. This will not be comfortable. Ready? Prince Taeho asked. They were as ready as they could be. Now, the prince commanded. 3 streams of plasma fire shot from the cave entrance, creating a massive electromagnetic burst. Every scanner and communication device in the canyon went dead for 30 seconds. In that brief window of blindness, 3 dragons and 1 human flew away into the alien sky. Below them, the angry shouts of confused slavers echoed through the canyon, but they were too late. Their prisoners were gone, and their trap was destroyed. The escape was complete, but Wu Jin knew this was just the beginning. The slavers would not give up easily. The real chase was about to begin. Flying on the back of a dragon was nothing like Wu Jin had imagined. Scout Dosum moved through the air like liquid silver, her powerful wings carrying them both with surprising gentleness. But the beauty of the experience was ruined by the danger they faced. Behind them, 6 slaver ships rose from the canyon like angry metal birds. Their engines screamed as they accelerated in pursuit. The electromagnetic interference from the dragonfire had only delayed them for minutes. They are faster than us, Scout Dosum called over the wind. We cannot outrun them in open sky. Prince Teho flew beside them, his massive form cutting through the air with royal grace. Then we do not run in open sky. We use the terrain. Commander Hyan Wu took the lead, diving toward a maze of rock formations that rose from the desert. Like stone fingers, the passages between them were narrow and twisted, perfect for creatures who could turn and dive quickly, much harder for ships that needed space to maneuver. The chase became a deadly game of 3-dimensional tag. The dragons flew through gaps barely wider than their wingspans. They dove under natural rock bridges and spiraled around stone pillars. The slaver ships tried to follow, but they were too big and clumsy for such precise flying. One ship tried to take a shortcut through a narrow canyon. Its wings clipped the rock walls and it crashed in a ball of flame. The other 5 ships pulled back and tried a different approach. They are calling for help, Commander Hyan Wu reported. He could hear their radio transmissions with his enhanced dragon senses. More ships are coming. Wu Jin looked back and saw distant specks on the horizon. At least a dozen more vessels approaching fast. How many ships do these people have? Too many, Prince Teho replied grimly. They needed a new strategy. Running would only work for so long. Eventually the slavers would corner them or wear them down. The dragons were already getting tired from carrying Wu Jin and flying evasive maneuvers. There, Scout Dosum pointed with one wing. That rock formation looks like it has caves. They landed on a high plateau, surrounded by twisted stone pillars. Several cave openings were visible in the rock face. But as they approached, Wu Jin realized these were not natural caves. These are ruins, he said in amazement. Someone built this place. The caves were actually rooms carved into the living rock. Ancient symbols covered the walls. Broken machinery lay scattered on the floors. This had once been a sophisticated facility, but it was thousands of years old. The first builders, Prince Teho said with reverence. My people have legends about them. They ruled this part of the galaxy long before any current race existed. Are the ruins safe? Wu Jin asked. Safer than staying in the open. Commander, Hyan Wu replied. They moved deep into the ancient complex. The passages were wide enough for dragons to walk comfortably. Whoever had built this place had been large creatures themselves. The slaver ships landed on the plateau above. Through gaps in the ceiling, they could hear boots on stone and angry voices. The hunters were following them into the ruins. Split up, Vextal commanded his forces. Search every passage. They cannot have gone far. Wu Jin and the dragons moved carefully through the ancient halls. Some rooms still had functioning technology. Lights activated as they passed. Displays flickered with unreadable text. The first builders had built things to last. This place is amazing, Scout Dosum whispered. Imagine what we could learn from their technology. But they had no time for archaeology. The sounds of pursuit echoed through the passages behind them. The slavers were systematic in their search. They would find them eventually. Then Wu had an idea. These ruins have power, he said. Working technology, maybe we can use it. He examined the ancient machinery more carefully. Much of it was beyond his understanding, but some systems looked familiar. Energy distribution, environmental controls, security systems. What are you thinking? Prince Teho asked. Every facility needs security, Wu Jin explained. Defenses against intruders. The first builders would not have left this place unprotected. He found what he was looking for in a central control room, a security console that still responded to touch. The symbols were alien, but the basic functions were universal. Monitor, detect, respond. The system showed red dots moving through the complex. The slavers were spreading out, searching room by room. They would reach the central area in minutes. Wu Jin studied the control options. Most were inactive, their power sources long dead, but some defensive systems still functioned. Automated barriers, containment fields, emergency lockdowns, can you activate them? Commander Hyan Wu asked. I think so, but I do not know what they will do exactly. This technology is far beyond anything I have worked with. Do it anyway, Prince Teho said. We have no other choice. Wu Jin began pressing symbols on the ancient console. The first selection caused barriers to seal several passages, trapping some slavers in dead-end corridors. The second activated containment fields that held others in energy cages. But the system also activated something else. Warning lights began flashing throughout the complex. An ancient voice spoke in a language none of them understood. That does not sound good, Scout Dosum said nervously. The ruins began to shake. Dust fell from the ceiling. Whatever Wu Jin had activated was big and powerful and possibly dangerous. Defense protocol activated. A new voice said in perfect galactic standard language. Unauthorized life forms detected. Beginning sterilization. Sequence. Oh no, Woojin said with growing horror. I think I just turned on an extermination system. The shaking got worse. Energy beams began sweeping through the passages, destroying everything they touched. The first builders had not just built defenses against intruders, they had built a system to completely sterilize their facility if it was ever compromised. How long do we have? Prince Taeho asked calmly. Woojin checked the display. Numbers were counting down in an alien script, but the meaning was clear. Maybe 10 minutes before this place destroys itself and everything in it. Then we leave now, Commander Hyunwoo said, but the route back to the surface was blocked by energy barriers and sterilization beams. And the slavers were still out there, though they were probably having their own problems with the defense systems. There has to be another way out, Scout Do-sam said. The builders would have had emergency exits. She was right. In a deeper part of the complex, they found a shaft that led up through the rock. It was an escape route, barely wide enough for the dragons to squeeze through. They climbed as fast as they could. Below them, the ruins were tearing themselves apart. Energy explosions echoed through the ancient halls. The sterilization system was doing its job very thoroughly. They emerged on the far side of the plateau. Just as the first massive explosion shook the ground, the slaver ships were taking off in panic, their crews abandoning the search to escape the destruction. But they had not all escaped. 3 ships lay in burning wreckage where the defense systems had caught them. The remaining ships were fleeing toward the horizon. That was closer than I would have liked, Prince Taeho said as they caught their breath. But it worked, Woojin replied. We lost them. Commander Hyunwoo was monitoring the radio frequencies. They are regrouping, calling for even more ships. This is not over. Scout Do-sam looked worried. We cannot keep running forever. Eventually they will corner us. Prince Taeho studied the distant mountains. Then we do not keep running. We find allies. We fight back. What allies? Woojin asked. We are in the middle of nowhere. The great dragon smiled, showing teeth like silver daggers. You would be surprised who has enemies in common with dragons. Human. This desert may be empty, but this planet is not. As they prepared to continue their journey, Woojin realized that the hunt was about to become something much bigger. They were no longer just running for their lives. They were about to start a war. The journey across the desert took 3 days. Li Woojin rode on Scout Do-sam's back, while Prince Taeho and Commander Hyunwoo flew beside them. They stayed close to the ground, hiding in canyons and behind rock formations whenever ships appeared on the horizon. The dragons were heading toward something they called the communication spire. It was an ancient tower built by the same first builders whose ruins they had escaped from. If it still worked, they could use it to call for help. On the second day, Woojin noticed something troubling. There are more ships than before, he told his companions. I count at least 20 different vessels searching for us. The are calling in favors, Commander Hyunwoo explained. They really want us back. Why are we so important? Woojin asked. There must be other dragons they could capture. Prince Taeho was quiet for a moment. Because I am not just any dragon. I am heir to the throne of Veltar. My capture would be a tremendous victory for our enemies. And you too. Woojin looked at the other dragons. Commander Hyunwoo leads our military intelligence division. Scout Do-sam replied. I am his best agent. Together, we know all of our people's secrets. Woojin began to understand the scale of what they faced. So if the slavers capture you, they do not just get 3 dragons. They get information that could destroy your entire civilization. Exactly, Prince Taeho said grimly. Which is why they will never stop hunting us, and why they will kill anyone who helps us. That evening, they reached the communication spire. It rose from the desert like a silver needle, impossibly tall and perfectly straight. Even after thousands of years, it gleamed like new metal in the fading sunlight. But they were not the first to arrive. A camp of armed figures surrounded the base of the tower. Woojin counted at least 50 people with military equipment and weapons. More slavers? He asked. Scout Do-sam studied the camp carefully with her enhanced vision. No, these are different. They look like refugees. They landed several kilometers away and approached on foot. As they got closer, Woojin could see that Scout Do-sam was right. These were not hunters or soldiers. They were families with children, old people and young people mixed together. All of different species from across the galaxy. A guard spotted them approaching and raised an alarm. Weapons were pointed in their direction. But then an old woman stepped forward from the crowd. She was human. Dragons, she said with wonder. I have not seen dragons in 30 years. Prince Taeho lowered his great head respectfully. Elder human, we mean no harm. We seek to use the communication spire. As do we all, the woman replied. I am Dr. Han Mina, formerly of the Earth Medical Corps. These people are all refugees from the slave trade. Woojin stepped forward. I am Li Woojin, also from Earth. How did you all get here? Dr. Han looked surprised to see another human. We escaped from the processing centers. Different groups, different times, but we all ended up here. This spire is the only working communication device for 1,000 kilometers. Processing centers. Scout Do Sam asked where the slavers sort their catches. Dr. Han explained, with pain in her voice. They decide who goes to which markets, who lives, who dies, who gets sold for medical experiments. Commander Hyanwu made a sound of disgust. How many people have they taken? Thousands, maybe tens of thousands. Dr. Han gestured to the refugee camp. We are the lucky ones who escaped. Most do not. Prince Taeho studied the diverse group of refugees. He saw humans, Altarians, Zephyrians, even a few Korath, who had refused to serve the Empire. You have united multiple species against a common enemy. Survival makes strange allies. Dr. Han agreed. When you are all being hunted by the same predators, old differences do not matter much. Wu Jin was putting pieces together in his mind. The mining operation I worked for, it was never really about mining, was it? Mining is their cover story, Dr. Han confirmed. They are actually scouts. They find planets with intelligent life and report back to the main slaving fleet. That is why they accused me of sabotage, Wu Jin realized. They needed an excuse to abandon me. Then they could come back later when I was weak and desperate. Scout Do Sam looked angry. They planned to make you a slave from the beginning. Not just him, Dr. Han said quietly. All humans, your people are special. Wu Jin, you adapt faster than any other known species. You solve problems in ways no one else thinks of. That makes you incredibly valuable in the slave markets. Prince Taeho absorbed this information with growing alarm. They are targeting an entire species for enslavement. It gets worse. Dr. Han continued. We intercepted some of their communications. They are planning something big, a massive raid on human space. They want to capture entire colonies at once. The dragons exchanged horrified looks. Commander Hyanwu spoke first. When soon, maybe within months, they are gathering ships and personnel from across the galaxy. Wu Jin felt sick. We have to warn Earth, warn the colonies. That is why we are here, Dr. Han said, gesturing to the communication spire. But the tower is not working properly. We can receive signals, but we cannot send them out. What is wrong with it? Wu Jin asked automatically. The transmission array is damaged. Some kind of feedback in the power coupling system. We have been trying to fix it for weeks, but none of us are engineers. Wu Jin smiled for the first time in days. I am an engineer. He spent the rest of the evening examining the ancient technology. The communication spire was even more advanced than the ruins they had escaped from. But the basic principles were similar to systems he had worked with before. The problem was complex but not impossible. The first builders had designed redundant systems for everything. When the main transmitter failed, backup systems should have activated. But those had failed too, one by one, over thousands of years. I can fix it, he told the assembled refugees. But it will take time, and I will need help. Whatever you need, Dr. Han promised. As they worked, more pieces of the conspiracy became clear. The refugee camp had people from dozens of worlds. All had similar stories. Legitimate businesses that turned out to be covers for slave operations. Local officials who were secretly working for the traffickers. Entire governments that had been infiltrated or corrupted. This is not just a criminal organization, Prince Taeho said as they shared information around the campfire. This is a systematic campaign to enslave the galaxy. Led by who? Scout Do Sam asked. Dr. Han had been investigating that question for months. We call him the broker. No one knows his real name or what species he belongs to, but he coordinates everything. All the different slaving operations answer to him. And the Korath Empire. Commander Hyanwu asked. They provide military support in exchange for a share of the profits. It is a partnership between official government and criminal enterprise. Wu Jin paused in his work on the transmitter. So when we call for help, we are not just saving ourselves. We are potentially saving millions of people across multiple worlds. Yes, Dr. Han said simply. No pressure. As the night deepened, Wu Jin worked by the light of dragonfire and portable lamps. The communication spire hummed with ancient power as he slowly brought its systems back to life. In the distance, searchlights swept across the desert. The slavers were still hunting. But now they were not just hunting 3 dragons and 1 human. They were hunting the key to exposing their entire operation. The revelation was complete. Now came the most dangerous part, getting the truth to those who could act on it. Dawn broke over the desert as Wu Jin made the final connections to the communication spire. His hands were steady despite working all night. The ancient technology hummed with power as systems that had been dead for centuries came back to life. Signal strength is good, reported Dr. Han Mina, monitoring the control systems. We should be able to reach both Earth and the Dragon homeworld. Prince Taeho stood watch at the edge of the refugee camp. His sharp eyes could see movement on the horizon. Work faster, he called. They have found us. Wu Jin looked up from his repairs. Dozens of ships were approaching from multiple directions. Not just the slaver vessels they had been running from, but military craft with the markings of the Korath Empire. How many? Scout Do Sam asked. taking position beside her prince. Commander Hyanwu counted quickly. At least 60 ships. They brought everything they had. The refugees began preparing for battle. It was a hopeless fight. They had small weapons and determination, but the approaching fleet had enough firepower to level mountains. Keep working, Dr. Han told Wu Jin. We'll buy you as much time as we can. But Wu Jin was already finished. The communication spire blazed with silver light as its transmission array activated for the first time in millennia. The beacon was so powerful it could be heard across half the galaxy. Who do we call first? Dr. Han asked. Both Wu Jin replied. At the same time, he had rigged the system to broadcast on multiple frequencies simultaneously. The message would reach Earth, the Dragon homeworld, and every major civilization in this sector of space. This is Li Wu Jin, human engineer, broadcasting on emergency frequencies. He spoke into the ancient transmitter. I am sending proof of a massive slave trading operation that threatens multiple worlds. The Korath Empire is working with criminal syndicates to capture and enslave entire species. They are planning a major assault on human space within months. He uploaded everything they had learned. Names, locations, ship identifications, intercepted communications. Years of evidence gathered. By the refugees, we are currently under attack at coordinates ... He gave their position. If anyone receives this message, please send help. We have 3 dragon representatives who can provide additional intelligence about the threat. Prince Taeho stepped up to the transmitter. This is Prince Kong Taeho, of the Draconic House of Velthdar. I confirm everything the human has said. We offer formal alliance to any civilization willing to fight against the slave traders. The first slaver ships were landing now. Armed figures poured out and began advancing on the refugee camp. The battle was about to begin. Signal transmitted, Dr. Han reported. Now we just have to survive long enough for help to arrive. The refugees took defensive positions around the communication spire. They were badly outnumbered, but they had the advantage of fighting for their freedom. That made them dangerous even against professional soldiers. The first wave of attackers included Wu Jin's former crew leader, Vexed. The Korath commander was personally leading the assault. Surrender now, and some of you may live, he called out through a loudspeaker. Continue to resist and we will kill everyone. Dr. Han responded by shooting at his position with a rifle. We tried surrender before. It did not work out well for us. The battle began in earnest. Energy beams and projectile weapons lit up the dawn sky. The dragons fought with flame and claw, their natural abilities making them devastating opponents. But there were simply too many enemies. We cannot hold them, Commander Hyanwu reported. They will overrun us within minutes. That was when the first reinforcements arrived. A squadron of sleek fighters screamed overhead, their weapons tearing into the slaver formations. They bore the markings of the Earth Defense Force. This is Captain Oh Min-soo of the EDF cruiser Seoul. A voice crackled over the radio. We received your distress call. Hold your positions. Help is on the way. More ships appeared in the sky. Not just human vessels, but dragons ships with their distinctive organic designs. Other species too, drawn by the emergency broadcast. The tide of battle turned quickly. The slavers found themselves caught between the refugees' defensive fire and the attacking reinforcements. Their coordination broke down as commanders were killed or captured. Vextal tried to retreat to his command ship, but Prince Taeho intercepted him. The dragon and the Korath fought hand-to-hand in the desert sand. It was not much of a contest. Vextal was strong, but Prince Taeho was royalty trained in combat since birth. This is for every person you enslaved, the dragon said as he pinned his enemy to the ground. Within an hour, the battle was over. The surviving slavers were in custody. Their ships were captured or destroyed. The refugee camp was free. Captain Oh Min-soo landed his shuttle near the communication spire. He was a middle-aged human with the bearing of a career military officer. Mr. Lee, I presume. Yes, sir, Wu Jin replied, suddenly aware that he looked terrible after a week in the desert. You have caused quite a stir back on Earth, the captain said with a smile. Your message reached everyone from the Colonial Assembly to the President herself. They want to thank you personally. What about the slave trading operation? Already moving against it. Your intelligence was incredibly detailed. We are coordinating with Dragon forces and several other civilizations. The whole network is being rolled up as we speak. Prince Taeho approached, his royal dignity intact despite the recent battle. Captain Oh, I am honored to meet you. Your people fight with great courage. As do yours, Your Highness, Captain Oh replied with a formal bow. My government has authorized me to accept your offer of alliance on behalf of humanity. Dr. Han was coordinating the rescue of refugees. Ship after ship was arriving to take them home or to new lives on worlds where they would be safe. The nightmare was finally over. What happens now? Scout Dosam asked Wu Jin. Now we rebuild, he replied. Earth and Veltar, working together, humans and dragons, as allies instead of strangers. Commander Hyanwu was examining the communication spire with professional interest. This technology could revolutionize interstellar communication. With your permission, we would like to study it. With our permission, Wu Jin corrected. We are partners now. 6 months later, Wu Jin stood on the bridge of the first joint human dragon starship. The vessel was a marvel of combined engineering, using the best technology from both civilizations. He was no longer just a mechanic. The governments of Earth had appointed him as the first human ambassador to the Drac Consortium. It was a job that would take him to worlds he had never imagined. Prince Taeho served as his counterpart, the first dragon ambassador to human space. Together, they were building something that had never existed before, a true alliance between species based on mutual respect and shared values. The first joint patrol mission launches next week, Prince Taeho informed him. Human and dragon crews working together to hunt down the remaining slave traders. Good, Wu Jin replied. The galaxy is a big place, but it is not big enough for predators to hide forever. Through the ship's viewports, he could see the stars stretching away in all directions. Each one might have worlds with people who needed protection, people who deserved freedom. The universe was vast and full of wonders, but it was also full of dangers. That was why civilizations needed to work together. That was why humans and dragons had found each other just when they both needed allies most. Wu Jin had started this adventure as a betrayed mechanic abandoned in a desert. He was ending it as a bridge between worlds, a symbol of what different species could accomplish when they trusted each other. The stars were calling, and he was ready to answer. The age of human-dragon cooperation had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.